Hey everybody, it's Oki here. Welcome to my channel. In this week, there's a lot of events in the world of AI, including the release of Claude 3.7, ChatGPT 4.5, and there was this open week from Deepseek, and we're going to review all of them together in this video. And at the end of the video, I'm going to host a reasoning contest among 4 different models. Without further ado, let's dive in. First, let's look at Claude 3.7 Sonnet and Claude Code. So Claude 3.7 is the first hybrid reasoning model on the market. By hybrid, they mean this model has both standard and reasoning components, unlike other models where there's a standard base model and a reasoning model, just like Deepseek v3 and Deepseek R1. Claude is a hybrid, which means in the same model, it can do both standard and reasoning. That's really interesting. It's kind of like System 1 and System 2 in our human brain, if you're familiar with that concept. System 1 is the quick, automatic, unconscious thinking, whereas System 2 is the slow, effortful, and logical reasoning of our brain. And also, it's worth mentioning here that Claude 3.7 in the API, you can control how many tokens you use for thinking, because thinking part is also going to consume your budget. And it's great that you can put a cap on that, just in case the AI goes into a brainstorm spree and all of a sudden needs to consume all your budget. We're going to see an example later. And then as far as the coding capability goes, Claude has always been one of the best models to code. As we can see, the SWE benchmark here just obliterated other models. This is extremely impressive. And they also released Claude Code. It's a command line tool in research preview now. I've tried it, it's pretty impressive, and it can do a lot of things in just one shot. And as far as other benchmarks go, Claude 3.7 is also at the top. Next, let's take a look at the pricing. So Claude 3.7, the normal version is free for everyone, but you need to be a paid user, the subscriber, to use the extended thinking mode. As far as the API goes, it's $3 per million token in the input, 15 in the output, and the 3.75 in the cache write, and 30 cents in the cache read. So this is actually not cheap, especially when you consider the extended thinking is also going to cause you tokens. So be aware of that. And next, let's take a look at GPT 4.5. Compared with Claude 3.7, the GPT 4.5 release was kind of underwhelming. So GPT 4.5 is their largest and best model for chat yet. I think this is the first time that they didn't mention this is a frontier model, unlike Claude 3.7, by which means they may not have the high scores in a lot of benchmarks. Given the size, and also they mentioned how costly it was to train this model and to maintain it, I don't know if it's worth the cost. Does it mean that we've hit the wall finally and the pre-training is dead? I don't know. So the highlight of GPT 4.5 is they have a better knowledge base. With simple QA accuracy, this scores pretty high. And also they were able to reduce the hallucination rate. They reduced the hallucination rate to 37.1%, which is still high, but compared with other models, this is a pretty significant improvement. I know this is technically pretty important too, but it lacks the wow factor as Claude 3.7. GPT 4.5 was kind of meh. And then there's another highlight here is that GPT 4.5 is more humane. Feels like you are actually talking to a real person. In the example they gave here, you tell GPT 4.5 you're going through a tough time after failing a test. It says, "Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. Failing a test can feel pretty tough and discouraging. But remember, it's just one moment, not a reflection of who you are or your capabilities. Want to talk about what happened, or do you just need a distraction? I'm here either way." Like, it feels like you're talking to a friend. It's great. The tone is awesome. Compared with GPT-4o or other models like O3 Mini here, this feels like an analysis of your situation, and it's really not that helpful. It's really not doing anything good for your emotions. GPT 4.5 takes that into consideration and it shows a higher EQ in some way. I would say it's pretty good. I've seen other reviews that it can write cheesy jokes. I think it's great, but I just don't know if that justifies the cost and all the maintenance and the price of GPT 4.5, which we're going to get into next. So pricing wise, this is where things get crazy. 4.5 is now only available for Pro users, which is $200 a month. It will be rolled out to Plus users in a week or so. But in terms of the API cost, this is through the roof. $75 per million input tokens and $150 for a million output tokens. I mean, this is just ripoff. I don't see why anyone would want to pay this much just for a model that has better vibe. If you're still watching, I guess you like my content. Subscribe for more. Next, we have Deepseek Open Week. If you're interested in the cutting edge open source repos, definitely check this out, like FlashMLA, DeepEP, DeepJam, and optimized parallelism strategies, 3FS. I'm not going to review the technicals here. What I do want to highlight here is on day 6, they revealed just how profitable they are. This is crazy. Look at the cost profit margin here. It's 545%. We all know Deepseek is free, right? Even including the reasoning model R1, it's free. This is coming from the API cost. This is insanely efficient. And they actually tell you how they achieved it. Just take a look at the pricing. This is even more mind-boggling. The pricing here is... I want to laugh here because compared to GPT 4.5, this is like nothing. The normal chat is 7 cents per million input token, and the reasoning chat is 14 cents per million input token. And output is $1.1 and $2.19 for each model respectively. And they even have a 50 and 70% off in the off-peak hours. This is insanely cheap. And they can achieve a 545% profit margin with this. I really want to reconsider my subscription choices. And then the final piece of news that I found interesting in this week and I want to share is a post from Andrew Kapothy. So this is very interesting because it's the first large diffusion-based large language model. So most of the large language models we've seen are clones as far as the core modeling approach. They're all trained auto-aggressively. They're predicting tokens from left to right. They're all using transformers architecture, whereas diffusion is different. It doesn't go from left to right, but it goes all at once. You start with the noise and then gradually denoise in the token stream. With the diffusion model, it's kind of like working on a sculpture. You start with a block of stones where it contains all the potential forms and it has infinite possibilities. As you work on it, you chip away the material bit by bit. That's the process of denoising. And then finally, you reach the intended structure. Andrew mentioned here that most of the image video generation AI tools actually work this way, using diffusion, like Stable Diffusion. They're not using autoregression. It's only the text and sometimes audio that have resisted. So it's been a bit of a mystery to Andre and many others why, for some reason, text prefers autoregression, but image and videos prefer diffusion. And this new model, Mercury, by Inception Labs, is the first diffusion-based large language model. Let's check out what they have in the video here. So on the left, we have the autoregressive traditional, and on the right, we have the diffusion large language model. So as you can see, it just has all the possibilities and gradually denoising them. And it took only 14 iterations. Autoregressive one took 75 iterations. So this is much faster. So just to play around on their website, I think it's good at coding. It definitely is not good at reasoning. And it can do this diffusion effect where it kind of shows how it denoises all the texts. Let's try some classic prompts and see how it can handle them. 9.9, 9.11, which one is bigger? 9.11 is bigger than 9.9. Okay, got that wrong. Clearly, it's not very good at reasoning. And I gotta say, I tried this a few other times. Sometimes it gets this right. Let me ask it to think again. Okay, the second time it got this right. 9.9 is actually bigger than 9.11. Also, next one, how many are in strawberry? Well, classic. It got it wrong again. Let's ask it to think again. Well, second time it got it right, 3 R's. Okay, maybe it will have a better chance if we ask it to think again. And for the final test today, I want to do something fun. Check out this clip.
Halt, unidentified adventurers!
We are the guardians of this sanctuary. One of us tells only truths, the other only lies.
You ever fuck this guy's wife?
Yes. Well, how about that? He guessed right.
I forgive you!
Oh, shit! All right, next room! No, I want to watch.
So that was from Rick and Morty. It's a very classic reasoning question. And I want to use a variation of that question and ask all these models, see how they perform. All right, now the stage is set. So we have the question here. This is the variation from the classic one. So the question is, Knight always tells the truth, Knave tells the lie. We have A and B here. One of them is Knight, one of them is Knight, although they could both be Knights and or Knaves. A says B is a Knave, and B says A is telling the truth. Which one is right? If you pause and think about it, there's no truth here. This is a paradox. In either of the scenarios, it's impossible. So this is actually impossible to solve. Let's ask the models what they think. So we have 4 models here. O1, Deepseek, R1, and Claude 3.7. Apparently I need to turn on extended thinking here. And then finally, Mercury. I know this is not going to be a fair game for Mercury because apparently it's not a reasoning model, but hey, just for the fun of it, let's try that. Okay, I'm gonna paste the question for all of them. I'm gonna start with Claude. There we go. Then Deepseek, then O1, then Mercury. Mercury is insanely fast. It gave me the wrong answer. Like, hey, I know the answer, and it just spit out the wrong answer. Conclusion, A is Knight, B is Knave. So I'm not gonna spend too much time on this logic here because Mercury is not a reasoning model. That's totally understandable. And let's take a look at the other 3 models here. So it looks like Claude and Deepseek is still thinking. Let's take a look at the answer from ChatGPT. Okay, so it's given me case 1, 2, 3, and 4. So right, 4 different cases. And it got the right answer. There's no consistent assignment. So it understands this is a paradox. No matter how you try to label Knight or Knave, you reach a contradiction. Hence, you cannot determine who is who from the statements alone. So O1 is fastest, and the answer is correct. So that's great. Deepseek and Claude they're still thinking. I'm just going to put them side by side, just to make this easier. And I'm going to expand the thinking part. So both have been thinking over 2 minutes, and they're still thinking. I would say O1, given the answer is right and given the time it takes, it's probably better reasoning-wise. But let's see if Deepseek R1 and Claude 3.7 can finally at least reach the right conclusion. Okay, Claude finally gave its output here. It only gave me 2 cases, but it identifies this as a classic logic puzzle, And right, it creates a paradox. Okay, so it realizes there's no right answer. It even says the puzzle reveals that one of them must not be from the island or follow different rules. So this is very interesting. Okay, it took 3 minutes for Claude to reach the final answer, and Deepseek R1 is still thinking. And by the way, this is the reason why you want to put a cap on the thinking, because just look at how much text there is. You don't want all this text to consume your budget for in Claude 3.7. All right, finally, Deepseek gave us an answer. And I think it may have taken, I don't know how long, definitely the longest. And the answer is unfortunately wrong. Okay. So I'm not gonna go through all of that, but I would say O1 wins, and Claude 3.7, it's all right. In my several other tests, sometimes Claude gets it wrong, and O1 is consistent. O1 gets it right every single time. I tested 3 times, and out of 2 of the 3 tests, Claude got it right, and in one of the tests, it got it wrong. So I would say O1 definitely wins this round. What do you guys think? Do you guys like the contest? Let me know. Leave a comment.